Everybody, and welcome to our week number 2 Twitch live stream for my research methods class. I am on campus, so fingers crossed that things go a little bit better today with the internet connection. It went okay with my class a little while ago, so hopefully it'll be all right. But I see a bunch of you joining me in the chat. Could someone let me know in the chat? Can you hear me and see me okay? Is everything coming through clearly? I just want to make sure before I get too far into it. I'm going to wait just a moment because you're probably a tiny bit behind me. But if you could let me know if it's coming through all right, that'd be great. You could just give me like a yes or a thumbs up. Or no, I suppose, if you can't hear me and it's not going well. I'll wait just a minute. And what I might end up doing in the near future, I might end up maybe moving the time just a tiny bit in order to get home. Yeah, it's a little laggy on my end as well. But I might see about changing it just so I can do it at home. Because it seems like on campus it's just always a little bit laggy. So fingers crossed that it's good enough. And I'm sorry for that. It seems like the audio is okay, but maybe the video is a little lagging. So what I want to do, and this one will be quite a bit shorter than last week, is I want to just go over a little bit of feedback from last week of the stuff from week number 1, and then go over your reminders for what you have going on this week. And that'll be kind of the general format. And then typically I'll give you also the extra credit question and show you how to answer that and all that kind of stuff. So let's head over to Canvas together, and we are now in week number 2. Look at, we're flying through the semester. It feels like it's going so quickly already. But week number 1 is in the books. And I did send out an email on Monday with some kind of general feedback and comments about your first discussion and all that kind of stuff. And so I just want to go over that a tiny bit to make sure that you know where you're at. And if you didn't find your grades, I did send out an announcement about how to find your grades and where to find them. So definitely important to do that. But as far as discussion number 1 goes, a lot of you did a really great job on discussion number 1. Really interesting articles that some of you picked. I was looking for you to be a critical consumer of information, and a lot of you did a beautiful job of that. Kind of asking those questions, right? Of like, where did this information come from? What did you mean by this? What other things could explain it? I was really impressed by how a lot of you were starting to be that critical consumer and really examining an article rather than just kind of accepting it. The biggest reason that people lost points was just not going into a lot of detail and being a little vague, or maybe not criticizing. Some of you just kind of agreed with your article rather than critiquing it, and that's more what I was looking for. But a lot of you got full points on discussion number 1. The other thing that I saw is some of you forgot to reply to a classmate. So don't forget to do that. Very easy, 2 points of replying to a classmate for each discussion. A lot of you did the extra credit last week, which I think is fantastic. The recording was posted and everything. And so with week number 1 in the books, we now turn our attention to week number 2. And we follow a very similar format this week, right? We have our lecture video, a discussion, and then the optional extra credit. Next week, we do add our first homework assignment, but let's not worry about that yet. We're in week number 2, and there's no homework assignment for that this week. So for this week, we are looking at chapter 2, and I've broken chapter 2 up into 2 parts. So you're only looking at the first part of chapter 2. So as always, for the chapter, you'll want to do 3 things, right? You're going to want to, 1, read the chapter in the textbook, or read the first half of the chapter in the textbook. 2, read through my lecture, watch any videos that are in there, click on any links that you find. And 3, watch the lecture video and take notes and pay attention where I'm lecturing to some PowerPoint slides. So week number 2, chapter 2, part 1, let's bring this up here. We are looking at sources of information, why research is best and how to find it. This one is a lot about like research versus your own experience, research versus intuition, what is wrong with intuition, and kind of looking at pseudoscience a little bit on that. Beyond the book, science versus pseudoscience, what defines the two, evaluating sources of credibility. I made a little video, or I found a little video down here about the credibility of sources that might be helpful. So I shared that with you. And then finally, on the last page, here are the terms that you need to know for the exam from this first part of chapter 2. So make sure, again, you click on all my links, watch the little videos that are in there. They're going to be helpful for you. You're also going to want to watch my lecture video where I'm lecturing to some PowerPoint slides. Again, you don't have to take notes, but you could think about this as like an in-person lecture. Like, I'm not sure what happened here with the internet, but you can think about it as like an in-person lecture and take lecture notes to that if that's helpful for you. And then once you've done those 3 things in all of your reading, you can go complete discussion number 2. And very similar to last week, you will see I follow a very consistent format each week with the discussions, and that's very purposeful. So you have my instructions up here at the top. Don't forget to watch my brief video. That's going to be something that's hopefully really helpful for you in understanding the prompt and getting that information. Be really detailed in your responses. If you lost a couple of points last week, give me more, right? If I gave you the feedback, if I was looking for a little bit more, elaborate a little bit, show off your knowledge and understanding. It helps if you think about them as like mini papers. So I'm looking for like a paragraph or more for each question. Then also don't forget to respond to a classmate and read through some of your classmates' posts. But the videos, I believe, are helpful. I hope you find them helpful. I thought that would be nice to give you a little bit more. So what you're going to do here is you're going to read this article and excerpt on science versus pseudoscience. And this is something that I've put together for you. I think it's going to be a good way of kind of exploring that topic a little bit more. If you would like to listen to it, I did read it up here if you'd like to have the audio instead of reading it yourself. But there's a couple of articles here. They all kind of take a slightly different approach, right? So make sure you read through all 3 of them. And then again, if you'd rather listen to them, that is definitely an option for you. But once you have read through those or listened to them, depending on your preference, then you can go back and answer my questions. And I have 3 questions for you this week for the discussion. Number 1, what are some of the key differences between science and pseudoscience? Provide and explain a minimum of 2 differences between the 2. What is the demarcation problem and who first identified it? And then number 3, what are some of the problems with the science versus pseudoscience classification? Provide and explain a minimum of 2 problems. So 3 questions, and you can see some of you have already done this. Don't forget to reply to a classmate. So let's say I love the way that Rachel replied. I could hit reply here to her. But make sure that you, again, elaborate, show off that knowledge and understanding. You will never lose points for giving me too much. But if you don't give me enough, that could definitely be the case. So that's the discussion for this week. Chapter 2, Part 1. Again, it's split into 2 pieces just because I feel like they kind of have a slightly different focus as we ease into this topic and into the semester. I will post the recording of this a little later today. So you'll be able to see that up in a couple of hours. And I do have some reminders for you before I give you the extra credit question and see if you have any questions for me. Again, much shorter this week than last week. Next week it'll be a little longer as we do have a homework assignment that I'll spend some time walking you through and talking about. But this week, kind of a very standard, simple, traditional week. So let me give you a couple of reminders here in the chat. The first one, I typed this up earlier. If you could just double check that you are subscribed on Twitch. If you haven't figured this out yet, I really appreciate if you could take the time to do that. As I mentioned earlier, it saves me a ton of time, which is always in short supply for me. And it also makes my life easier, and I think yours as well in the long run. So if you haven't figured that out yet, the instructions are on Canvas. If you could take a moment to do that. The second, if you're looking ahead, the second reminder, our next Twitch live stream will be on Wednesday, August 28th at 12:30 p.m. So unless I end up moving it back a couple of minutes because I'm going to try and get it at home, it will be next Wednesday at 12:30 like usual. And next week what we'll do is I'll go over feedback from this week and talk about that first homework assignment and all that kind of stuff. Otherwise, let me give you the extra credit question. I put that here in my document just to save myself the time. This is the week number 2 Twitch extra credit question going in the comments here in the chat box. Describe one of the ways that intuition is biased and give a specific example. So, describe one of the ways that intuition can be biased and give me a specific example. And when you're ready to answer that, you'll go to Canvas and you'll click on optional Twitch extra credit number 2, since we're in week number 2. And once that loads, we wait here impatiently. You'll click on start assignment up at the top. And that's going to bring up that text box where you can type your response and then hit submit to get your confetti burst. And let's see, what do we get today? It was pizza earlier. So we get confetti and thumbs up. All right. Not as exciting as pizza, but still. So remember that you can earn the extra credit for joining me if you're here with me now and put your name in the chat and then answer the question. Or if you're subscribed, you don't need to put your name in the chat. You can also earn that extra credit if you're watching this later as a recording and you are subscribed on Twitch. Then you can still answer it on here to get your extra credit. So please take advantage of this. Several of you are on here with me, which is great. Those points are definitely going to add up and take some pressure off of you. So I would definitely suggest doing that if you can. Otherwise, make sure you get going on week number 2. Here's your checklist right here if you'd like to make sure that you've done everything. And again, the recording of this will be up in a couple of hours once it's downloaded and re-uploaded and all that kind of fun stuff. So what I will do is I'll hang out for a little bit. If you do have any questions for me, this is a great opportunity and time for you to ask them. Otherwise, you are welcome to go and get going on week number 2. I hope you're all doing well and settling into the semester, enjoying our hot weather. That's not my favorite, but it is supposed to cool down a little bit in the next few days. So I'm looking forward to that. But I hope everyone's doing well and hanging in there. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, have a great week, and I will hope to see you next week on here. I'm going to minimize my video so I'm not staring at myself, but I will hang out for a little bit. I'm going to put thank you in the chat here. Just again, thank you for those of you who joined me. Sorry that it was a little laggy, but hopefully it was better, better than last week. Thank you as well. Have a great week. Wonderful day, wonderful week. You're welcome, and thank you all for being on here with me. Again, hopefully the quality was a little better today, and we'll see how it goes. We'll just keep reevaluating, as is the nature of our class, right? And we'll do it, and we'll reevaluate. But thank you all. Thank you. Have a wonderful week. You too. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions or anything that you're confused about, I will be hanging out for a little bit. So please feel free to put that in the chat so I can answer it for you. Otherwise, have a wonderful week. All right, everyone, it looks like almost all of you have logged out, so I'm going to close this up to start the upload download process. If you think of any other questions, please feel free to reach out. And again, have a wonderful